Hello and welcome to Odds on Europa League and Conference. We are going to analyze the semi-finals in these competitions, on all the games on Thursday. So stay tuned. Only one step away from the finals in the Europa League. We have Braga, Freiburg and Nottm Forest, Aston Villa. In the conference, we have Rayo Vallecano, Strasbourg and Shakhtar Donetsk, Crystal Palace, and of course we have magicians also with us, Leo Bachanian, Alain Valnegri. Let's analyze these four games, these four semi-finals. Let me know in the comments also, who do you think are going to play these finals, which teams? And now let's go on with the show. Well, let's start with the Europa League, guys. Two semi-finals. The first one is Braga Freiburg, a bit of underdogs here. Two teams that are not used to play European semi-finals, I would say even finals in general, no matter if it's the cup of their countries, but they are just one step away of from making history. And I'm not sure which team is favorite for the first leg. The bookies place Braga as favorites, 2.6. They surprised us coming back against Betis. It looks like they were going to be kicked out by Pellegrini's men, but it was impressive, their second half. And there they are, perhaps. Leo, they are favorite because they won all the games at home in this Europa League, except the defeat with Genk and the draw also with Betis, where they were better. By the way, this Freiburg, is true that they destroyed Celta, home and away, but they are coming from losing to Dortmund, okay, but especially it was painful, the cup semi-final in Germany.
Yes, that defeat 2-1 against Stuttgart. And we need to see how they do recover after last two defeats. No, the one in the semi-final of the German Cup and the hammering of Dortmund on the weekend. But still, I do believe they are favorites for this tie. And I understand the bookies is pricing favorite Braga for this first tie. But I think Freiburg will get back to the Freiburg of the Europa League we have been seeing. This said a very special moment for Braga anyway. And for Portuguese football, it's the first time in the last 12 years that we have seen a Portuguese side reaching a European semi-final. I mean, that time I think it was Benfica against Juventus. Benfica eventually got to the final on that time and they lost to Sevilla. It is special for Carlos Vicens. He's making his own name after those 7 years with Guardiola. It's special for him as well, Eduardo, because if you remember back in October last year, things did not start amazingly for Vicens. In Braga, he won just 2 of the first 7 games in the Primeira Liga, and he was coming really under fire. I remember before facing Celtic in the league stage, Braga lost against Nacional in the Primeira Liga, and he needed to say in front of the press that he was not going to quit, that he was sure that he could change the mentality of his side. And in the end, he promised that and he delivered that. Because winning or losing, we are seeing a recognizable style of play in this Braga. At the same time, I would say they are playing with fire in the knockout stages. In the last 16, they lost 2-0 in Budapest. Yes, then of course they trashed Ferencváros 4-0 at home with Betis. As you mentioned, Edu, we saw them drawing the first leg at home. But in that second half, even if overall Braga was better in that first game, Betis had chances to win the game. And then they responded amazingly in Seville with that shocking 4th win. Shocking because of how the way the game unfolded, going down 2-0 after 30 minutes. It could have been down 3-0. And probably the tie would have changed completely. It is interesting this time because they finish in similar fashion. The league stage, Braga 6, Freiburg 7. Braga scored 11 goals, Freiburg 10. Braga conceded 5, Freiburg 4. But things changed from the last 16 onwards because Freiburg started to score at a rate we haven't seen in the league stage. Basically, they have scored now more goals in the knockout stages than in the full league stage of the competition. they kept anyway the good defensive work, just 3 goals conceded in the last 4 games in the Europa League for them. Braga very similar, scoring 9 goals in the last 3 matches, but I think they look more vulnerable defensively, which leaves me feeling that Freiburg has the upper hand here. I do see them more vulnerable, and it wasn't just that the VAR disallowed a goal for Betis. On that first half, Betis could have scored, had chances to score another 2 or 3 more goals, and they can't afford Braga the same mistake with Freiburg. Of course, they do have quality: Moutinho, Horta, Pau Victor, Fran Navarro, Rodrigo Salazar, the Uruguayan, is having an amazing season. 23 goals across all competitions, 6 in this Europa League. On the other hand, I really like as well the fact that Freiburg last season, yes, they missed out on Champions League football, but they did not feel sorry for themselves. They're just now 3 games away from European glory, and that's why I believe they're going to get back on their feet after the last 2 defeats with Stuttgart and Borussia Dortmund. They have the weapons too. Matthias Ginter, 32 years and playing the best football of his career. There are rumors in Germany that Nagelsmann may be thinking of taking him to the World Cup. Then you have Vincenzo Grifo, Suzuki, who I personally really like, and I was talking about him in previous shows. Only Aston Villa and Nottm Forest have scored more than Freiburg. But again, I think things will change on Thursday regarding the last 2 games for them. I do see them as favorites, 𝐬𝐿 to advance to the final. I don't expect to see a goal feast in this first leg. My take here is going to be Freiburg double chance combined with goals under 3.5. These 2 together, odds of 2.
Well, really good analysis, Leo. For this game, Braga are favorites, but for the tie is Freiburg. Freiburg to win the tie and qualify for the final is 1.7. Braga 2.2. Alain, is a massive game for the history of both clubs.
Yes, and Braga want to take the revenge when they lose the final against Porto in Dublin in the beginning of the 2000. And yes, both teams are similar style of play. The model of play is a direct football for both. Both feel comfortable when they can run without the ball. When you check the second half in Sevilla, Braga have really poor percent of possession of the ball. And in spite of that, they won the game in the second half because they scored 3 against this Betis. Braga is difficult to move in a collective perspective against Betis. Salazar don't play. Salazar is the leader, offensive leader for goals, for the way to their play in the middle is clearly the boss, and without him, their kick out Betis. Betis was one of the favorites of this competition. Now, the biggest question is how Freiburg will arrive to this game, because Freiburg this season, in my opinion, in Bundesliga, is not a very good season because they're out right now for the next European competition, and the goal was this. And Freiburg in January was really near to the Champions League spot, and they don't have the skills to manage both competition, because there was in Pokal. In Europa League is a brilliant season, of course, but in Pokal, losing against Stuttgart in the way of they lose the game in Stuttgart for them is important, because the rivalries are there, because they're both from south of Germany, and how they manage that type of emotion is the last goal for Freiburg. Is the last goal to win a trophy, because is a joke in Germany. Freiburg never won any trophy, and this season they're really near, because semi-final Pokal, semi-final Europa League. in my opinion, Braga have something more with the experience, with the the key moment in the game, and Braga is really dangerous when they play away. In my opinion, Freiburg is good at home, yes, but Braga in Sevilla, we see a Braga in a very good state of form, because Braga can be put the focus only in the Europa League. And we saw against Santa Clara a big turnover, because the focus is in Europa League. In spite of 1x2 or market of goal, I choose Mazzambi, the Swiss player from Freiburg. One or more shot on the target is a box-to-box player. Odds 2.14.
Okay, interesting also to go for prop bets, checking the players' bets. Let's check also our smart bet tool. And here we have first team to score. Braga is the top tip of the AI powered by Oddspedia, 1.9. And then double chance for Braga or draw. So the AI is leaning towards Braga. And the second semi-final is an English one, is Nottm Forest, Aston Villa. Two historic teams used to play European finals, but that was long time ago. And now they are only one step away from another European final. Here we have Aston Villa as favorites, because, well, they've been the favorite of the tournament throughout the season. They finished second, the standings, only behind Lyon, and they've won all the games in this Europa League except the defeat against 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐺. Also in the knockout stages, they won all the games, and on top of that, they have a very experienced manager in Europe, like Unai Emery. He knows how to win this kind of competitions. And in the Premier League, of course, they are going to qualify for the Champions League next season, whereas Nottm Forest are still fighting to avoid relegation. But Alain, it's very important also the moment of the season, because it's true that Forest have more to play for in the Premier League. They are still not safe, but they arrive in a very good moment. They smashed Sunderland at the weekend. They look much better with the new manager, Vitor Pereira. We have Gibbs White, one of the most informed players in the Premier League. We have 𝐬𝐭𝐵, top scorer of this competition. So I think it's open. This tie is also very open.
Yes, really open, but in Nottm Forest, the table in Premier League don't show the state of form of Nottm Forest right now, because the season was a Marianakis season with four manager and with a lot of chaos. But Pereira gives balance to this team. April is the best month for Nottm Forest at the beginning of the season. Is the second best team in Premier League in the last five games, and it's curious to see that the pressure was really strong, because after the first leg against Midtjylland, when they lose, everybody said, yeah, and me too. Nottm Forest put the focus only in the Premier League, but in spite of that, they won in Midtjylland. Midtjylland was the biggest surprise in Europa League. Kick out Oporto. Really good results in Premier with the draw against City, and in the last two games we saw a really offensive version of Nottm Forest. And Pereira worked with that hierarchy. He started with to try to found a balance with the defense, and the team right now in defense is brilliant, because it's 1 month and a half. He don't receive more than one goal in a game, and after he starts to work with the offensive concept. And Gibbs White is one of the players most happy right now with the freedom. He found his solution. He showed his best version, especially against Burnley for the goal. But it's not only for the goal; his participation to the offensive phase really active. Is not a team play only a direct football. Is a team with quality, and they are really confident. We know the relationship in the history for Forest with the European competition. Is the only team won 2 Champions League consecutive in spite of there was only one title in his local league. And yes, I trust in this Forest because Aston Villa, yes, Emery, Aston Villa is a team difficult to move, but I miss something again with Aston Villa. I miss something. If you remember at the beginning of the year, Aston Villa was really near to Arsenal, and since January is not brilliant. The second part of the season for Aston Villa, in my opinion, is better than Nottingham Forest. Yes, but yes, Aston Villa, in my opinion, will be suffer with this Nottingham Forest. The fact is a team between both two teams, the same country. Normally they're really nervous and really tactical. I am curious to see that. For this game, I choose both teams to score with the over 1.5 goals, odds 2.00.
All right, Alain sees both teams to score. Leo, what is your take if we check the odds to qualify? As I said, Aston Villa favorites 1.6, Nottingham Forest 2.2.
Yes, I mean, this is a tie that will go all the way to Villa Park. Going into that both teams to score that Alain mentioned, actually, I think a draw, I mean, a 1-1 could be a result that, for instance, Villa will take happily. If you look at the 1-1 result, the odds are closer to 6. So that could be as well something to look at with those quietly high odds. Morgan Gibbs White, of course, is the man of this tie, the one with the momentum. For him to score or to assist, the odds are 2.5. He's been the one carrying this team in the last 2 months. It's going to be a derby, a Midlands derby as well in this semi-final. And I think, Edu, Alain, for me, they are safe in the Premier League. I know mathematically not, but the last relegation spot in the Premier League will be between West Ham and Tottenham. That's why I think it's the first time we can talk about Nottingham Forest without mentioning that their minds or the priorities with the Premier League. It's a season that could still look a bad season, but could still be a fantastic season for them. I mean, they could turn a chaotic season into a historic one. Up to this point, all season, the team selection for Europa League has always been influenced for what's come next in the Premier League, but not now. And that is something that Vítor Pereira is irresponsible because even before the second leg against Porto, he admitted that he was picking the team thinking about Burnley 3 or 4 days after. And that game against Porto at home in the City Ground was one of the biggest games in the last decades for Nottingham Forest at home. Now it's going to be this one against Aston Villa. In the end, that game with Burnley was resolved with a magical hat-trick from Morgan Gibbs White. It's an incredible situation for this squad because they could have been responsible for taking Forest back to the Championship after 4 years, and now they can also take or get legendary status, even though, yes, Aston Villa is a favorite to lift the trophy in this Europa League. Morgan Gibbs White is scoring regularly, and that's great for him. For England, I think Tuchel won't have many excuses not to take him to the World Cup. 16 goals this season, 13 in the Premier League, 3 in the Europa League. The most important one, the one to win against Porto at the City Ground. Anyway, of course, was very important that Stefan Ortega on that game because after 2 minutes he was already saving. Defender got off after wasn't off after 6 or 7 minutes. The negative from that tie with Porto is that Nottingham Forest lost Murillo, and Alain was rightly so talking about the defensive work done under Vítor Pereira, but Murillo is huge for the team. Although against Sunderland they haven't missed him, and actually they won 5-0. It wasn't just Murillo, but also 𝐿 Hudson-Odoi. With Sunderland, we saw Pereira using Chris Wood and Igor Jesus together in attack from the start, which is interesting to see if he's going to do the same now against Aston Villa. We saw Omari Hutchinson being the one replacing 𝐿 Hudson-Odoi on the right wing. With Porto was the first home win under Vítor Pereira, and now there are 8 games without defeat. And and after that win against Porto was followed with the win against Burnley. So even at home now, Nottingham Forest is feeling comfortable. And for Aston Villa, this has been an inconsistent season, and it's strange to say this when they're fifth in the Premier League and they're going to play Champions League football almost for sure next season, because they are 8 points above the sixth with 12 points to play in the Premier League. But this is a team with fine margins. I mean, no one won more games by 1 goal in the Premier League this season than Aston Villa. 12 games they won by 1 goal margin. We're going to see if, which I believe so Emery will do, that Villa will take a little bit more speculative approach, especially in the first half, as Emery tends to do with his team. On the weekend against Fulham, they were a bit poor, just 1 shot on target. But usually that's why that inconsistency, of winning 4-0 against Bologna, playing one of the best games of the season, to then seeing them dropping points in the Premier League away to Fulham without doing much. I said that 1-1 could be a result that Aston Villa could happily take for the return leg. I think here is a draw. It was 1-1 actually as well when they faced each other a few weeks ago in the Premier League at the City Ground, and that is going to be my take. A draw at 3.3.
Yeah, very recently they drew in the Premier League, and I wouldn't be surprised if, both ties actually go to the second leg, and they are going to be very tight. I think if we check our smart bet tool, the pro tip is 4 corners, in this case under 10.5 corners, and also we have total goals over 1.5. These odds are quite low, 1.3, but still could be a good option. This is for the Europa League semi-finals, but in this video also we are going to analyze the Conference League semi-finals, Rayo Vallecano Strasbourg and Shakhtar Donetsk Crystal Palace. So let's go to the Spanish capital. Rayo Vallecano Strasbourg is going to be an amazing atmosphere. This is a big neighborhood of Madrid, usually low-income people that are going to live a good party, because it's the first time in the history of Rayo Vallecano to step into European semi-finals, a club that is struggling. Actually, they don't have a good training ground. The stadium is falling into pieces, but they have a really good manager, 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿𝐴. They have some very good players with the captain Isi Palazón, for instance, and they are making history, and I'm sure the ground is gonna be a hell for Strasbourg. Alain, Strasbourg is struggling a little bit in this second part of the season. Panicelli started very well. He got injured, as we know. Rosignor was moved to Chelsea without success. They won't qualify for Europe, and they lost the French Cup semi-finals last week. So in my opinion, at least for the first leg, I would place Rayo Vallecano as favorites with these odds, and I think it's not bad, actually, if we want to back them.
Yes, it's open. It's really open. The biggest question with Strasbourg is which version, because Strasbourg is a really young team. And since the beginning of the season, we saw really good moment with a team able to compete with the biggest team, but we saw a poor version and a team with some difficulties with the motivation against team, maybe with another type of ambition. We saw in Mainz in the first leg, we saw a team not with a focus for that type of game. And after in the second leg, they recovered the results, because it's amazing the talent of the second team of Chelsea. We can call Strasbourg like that. And yes, I was really surprised about the elimination in French Cup, because it was against Nice, and Nice is a team are fighting against relegation. But maybe the team have the focus with this game. Last game in Lorient, there was losing 2-0, and in 20 minutes they're able to score 3 goals in one of the most difficult field in Ligue 1, because Lorient lose only one game this season against Lille. Rayo, in the collective analysis, in my opinion, Rayo is a team really difficult to move with a clear idea, with the type of football they want to play. They're comfortable with the ball, without the ball. Inigo found balance with this team. The limit, and is for that in Liga is far right now, is the squad don't have the deepness to play 3 competition, and he suffered a little that. But in the key moment of the season, the team was able to compete, was able to do a brilliant game, especially in the first leg against 𝐿 is winning the Greek league right now, and Rayo Vallecano in the first leg was probably the better 45 minutes in the season. And I wait that version of Rayo. Is a big event in Vallecano right now. To try to arrive in a final is a big event. Maybe the people don't understand the magnitude of that, because Rayo is a neighborhood. Rayo have limited in the budget, but they don't have limit with the idea, because the idea is clear. And Rayo in his history passed to the second division, but they always have that skills, that braveness to back to the Liga and stay in the Liga, because they saved the category. If you check the last 10 years, team go to the second division with the budget you compare with Rayo is amazing. This project is amazing, in my opinion. Rayo deserves to win a title, to win a conference league. I am maybe not really objective, because I am clearly with Rayo, and in my opinion, Rayo can catch a positive result. For that reason, I choose 1x with over 1.5 goals, odds 1.83.
Okay, I'm not objective as well, Leo. I go with Rayo Vallecano. I think it's amazing what they are doing with the money they have. The supporters hate the ownership, Martin Presa. There is a really bad relationship. And still, they survive a very difficult night in Athens in the previous round.
Yeah.
Leo, probably you are more objective than Alain and myself, but I can see Rayo winning here, and then let's see what happens in Strasbourg.
Well, listen, I think a little bit similar fashion to Braga in terms of like having a good league stage. They won 4 games, they drew 1 and lost 1 of the 6 games of the league stage, Rayo. But then the trend for them has been to suffer in the knockout stage, because after, in the last 16, they look that everything was done against Samsung Sport with winning away 3-1, and then at home things got complicated and they lost 1-0 for a tight 3-2 on aggregate, and with ACCA, I thought it was all done with that 3-0, and then in the return leg, they needed Easy to become the hero, scoring in the 60th minute. On that game, yes, was difficult for Inigo's Perez team to control an opposition that was firing attack after attack. I think that the Strasbourg is capable of the same, of producing wave after wave of attack, capable of scoring in quick succession, like on the weekend, like Alain was saying, 3 goals in 20 minutes and 2 of them in the last 7 minutes of the game, or with Mainz in the return leg. Strasbourg scored twice in a space of 9 minutes in the first half, and then in the second half they missed a penalty and scored another 2 goals in a space of 8 minutes. So I think that Rayo will need to bring the tempo down of the game, in my view, to make a stronger case for the final. I think that if they allow the game to become an exchange of attacks, they have more to lose. With this Strasbourg that has this good blend of players, Alain, that can make the best of spaces like Moreira and others that have great feet to see those spaces and make sure a teammate will exploit them, like 𝐿, Nanasi or Barco. I don't know if Barco will be fit to play the return leg. He was not going to feature anyway on Thursday because he's suspended. I think 𝐿 is thriving in this kind of like a false nine role that Gary O'Neill has given him. In the 4-0 against Mainz, he scored and provided 2 assists. I think the tie should be a very entertaining one. Crystal Palace, the candidate, yes, to win the trophy. But for me, and I'm going to go against you guys, Strasbourg will be in that final too. But we will have to wait for the return leg. My take here is going to be both teams to score, yes, 1.83. I could be also looking at the goals over 2.5 with odds of 2, but I'm going to stay with the both teams to score, yes, 1.83.
Okay, well, the final is in Leipzig, by the way. And the second semi-final is Shakhtar Donetsk, Crystal Palace. Of course, it's always the same in this competition. It would be amazing for both sides to be in an European final. This game to be played in Krakow. Of course, remember that Shakhtar cannot play in Ukraine. They are topping the Ukrainian league. We haven't spoken actually about Shakhtar Donetsk in a while, and they have an interesting project always. You will tell me, guys, if this project has been affected by the war in recent years. I guess so. But they have a manager that we all know, Arda Turan, the Turkish former Atletico de Madrid player, is the manager. And here we have a big favorite for the game and for the tie. And this is Crystal Palace is the favorite of this competition in the Premier League. They've been on holidays for a while, and they have one of the stars of this competition with Sarr scoring 7 goals. Leo, the bookies only trust Crystal Palace. I was surprised to check the odds so low for Palace.
Yes, but to be honest, at least for this first time, I won't underestimate Shakhtar. It's not a surprise for them to be at this stage in a European competition, having won the UEFA Cup in 2009. I think they have similarities, or the tie has similarities with Rayo Strasbourg, because we have a very technical side, as always, with Shakhtar, against a more physical team and powerful in transition like Palace. This, for sure, Edu, of course, there's no way that all these years the war has not affected the Shakhtar, but they always manage the way to compete. They always manage the way to find good and technical players. Their link with Brazil or with Brazilian players still is amazing. But yes, of course, yes, Palace is the candidate to win this competition, but I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park at all for them, and especially in this first leg. The 2-1 defeat in the return leg in Firenze, I think it was nervier than the scoreline may suggest. Yes, they had a 3-0 healthy advantage going into that, but they had to suffer, even though they played a very good first half an hour against Fiorentina away. Oliver Glasner, I mean, has been saying that all year that his team are not favored because they do not have European experience. Well, he does have, actually, Glasner taking Frankfurt to win the Europa League in Sevilla a few years back. I think that the start of the competition, as you say, it is Ismaila Sarr. It's an amazing season for him, 17 goals in all competitions, 7 of them in the Conference League. He could become the MVP of this Conference League too. I think in that regard, Palace has been amazing in the last few years because they managed to recycle the star player of 𝐬𝐵𝐺𝐻, Michael Olise, now Ismaila Sarr. Although Sarr is a different player to Olise or to 𝐬𝐵𝐺𝐻. He doesn't have the flair of those two, but still he's a very consistent player. I really like him. it was a little bit injury scare against Fiorentina with Lacroix and Adam Wharton leaving the pitch in the first half, but they played on the weekend against Liverpool, so I do believe they're going to play as well from the starting against Shakhtar. I repeat again, Palace for me favorite for the competition, but this time will be decided in England. That's what I might take here. And again, we shouldn't, or no one should underestimate Shakhtar. Shakhtar double chance, 1.83 is my take here.
Okay, it's the same tip as our AI, by the way, Shakhtar or draw. Alain, what is your take?
Yes, Shakhtar is one of the team most funny to see, especially with the offensive midfield liner with the four Brazilians, with Neverton, with Silva, Padrinho, Alisson. Probably there will be move a lot the statical defense of Palace. Palace is a team defend with a low block. Is a really physical team. Is a team play a direct football. And in my opinion, like Leo said, in 180 minutes, Palace will make the difference clearly. And yes, with direct football, it's clear Sarr feel comfortable. When Sarr play in a team in really associative, Sarr suffer a lot. And Glasner found the model to feel comfortable Sarr, feel comfortable Mateta, because Mateta is a direct pull football striker. Maybe Shakhtar can suffer a little that because Shakhtar want the ball. Shakhtar have a lot of solution in offensive ways. A team attack with six player, and Palace. I saw Palace in both game against Fiorentina. In the second leg, they suffer a lot, and Fiorentina make a really poor season. And in my opinion, Shakhtar have more talent than Fiorentina, are more fantasy. And yes, for Shakhtar, is important game. All the Europe see Shakhtar right now because with the talent they have is interesting market for a lot of league. And yes, it's more a Brazilian team than Ukrainian team, and the player want to show his talent to Europe. And against a Premier League team, in my opinion, we will be so the best version of Shakhtar. And I choose a crazy odds for this game. I choose double chance 1x with over 2.5 goals, odds 5.00.
Okay, you both trust Shakhtar Donetsk with double chance, also our AI, so everyone agrees that we have good odds to trust this Brazilian Shakhtar as always. All right, guys, this is it for our video Europa League conference. Remember, we have our tipster competitions going on. You can participate and win money in the monthly one, for instance, and also we have rivals where you can create your own tipster competitions. Leo, your safe bet?
Rayo Strasbourg goals over 1.5, odds of 1.35.
Alain?
Same for me, Rayo Strasbourg, over 1.5 goals, odds 1.35.
Okay, and the ACCA, Leo?
Freiburg double chance, Morgan Gibbs White to score or to assist. Rayo Strasbourg both team to score, yes. These three together also 7.
Alain, your ACCA?
Forest Villa both team to score with over 1.5 goals. Braga Freiburg Mazambi 1 or more shot on the target, and Rayo Vallecano Strasbourg 1x with over 1.5 goals, odds 8.78.
Wow, really high odds. Okay, Leo, Alain, thank you. See you next week with
Thank
the
you, guys.
second leg. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.